Today we're going to be looking at my favourite band of all time and ranking my 3 favourite albums by them. Let's look at Christian Death. Welcome to By Candlelight, beaming goth, post-punk and dark wave straight into your brain. So today I'm going to be looking at my favourite band of all time, which is Christian Death. I probably don't need to give a lot of history about the band, but they were formed in 1979. They've currently got about 19 albums available and a few compilations. They've had a number of lineup changes, most significantly with Roz Williams, who was their original vocalist, who sadly passed away in 1998. Valakand has taken over the helm as lead vocalist. Roz actually collaborated on a number of side projects, and I might make another video about all those different projects and the albums that he made with other people. But I very much came in at the Valakand sort of stage. That was my era, really. There's something about Christian Death that it's just the atmosphere that they generate across all their albums, that they've just got such a wide body of work. What might be my favourite today may not be my favourite tomorrow, but I thought I would go through my current 3 favourite Christian Death albums. So my number 3, and I'm perfectly aware that this might anger some other Christian Death fans, but my number 3 is actually only Theatre of Pain. I came into Christian Death very much in the Valakand sort of years, and when I say that, I mean when he became the vocalist. The very early Christian Death sort of passed me by, but there's no denying this is a classic album. It's got classic tracks on it, and that cover is absolutely legendary. So the album starts with bells ringing, and that really does set the mood for the whole of the album. And then you're hit by the driving bass of figurative theatre. It's a change of pace, which is really important on this album. The album has got quite a similar sort of feel to it throughout. I would say that there isn't a load of range on the album, but it's very much of its time, of its feel. And I'd say that the most punky song on this album is Spiritual Cramp. You can really hear the punk in there, and then you come in with Romeo's Distress, which is just an absolute classic, and that is a floor filler at any kind of alternative club. So just have a look at my copy. I've got, I think it's a reissue, special coloured vinyl, but it's not really coloured, I would say. It's more translucent. That is definitely a reissue. That is my copy, and my number 3 in my ranking of Christian Death albums. And number 2 for me, it's got to be Catastrophe Ballet. I mean, what a great album this is. It was released in 1984. You can still really hear the death rock influences that have stayed with them since their first album, but everything feels a bit more polished and produced. You can definitely hear a bit more kind of dynamics in the music here. And an absolutely terrifying cover, particularly if you have it on vinyl, where you've got it like a big version like that. I don't have the vinyl version, I've only got the CD, but I love the vinyl version. Just to look at that cover and like run screaming. So, as most Christian Death albums, this begins quite ominously with an organ this time, and then we're straight into Beneath His Widow. And that guitar riff, you can really hear how they've moved on, and they're starting to adapt and to kind of change how they sound whilst retaining their initial vibe. And The Drowning has got, you can really hear Roz's nonchalant vocals coming through on this one. He's just got a way of delivering lines. And then As Evening Falls, you've got that great change of pace, which just changes everything up a little bit more. And what can I say about This Glass House? And that's just an absolute classic. I mean, I haven't got the vinyl, I've just got a tiny little CD version. A classic album, and that is definitely at my number 2. So what's my number 1? Fans of Christian Death will probably have worked it out by now, but it has to be Ashes. Released in 1985, this literally followed Catastrophe Ballet and only has 7 tracks on it. But all the same, it's my favourite Christian Death album. So the opening track, Ashes, begins with the most beautiful piano part, and you think, oh, this is going to be such a mellow piece of music, but it's Christian Death, so that's not going to happen. So gradually it moves from this beautiful piano and crescendos until eventually you end up in an absolute wall of sound with screaming, but it's so cool. Face literally just takes your face off. It's another change of pace, and it just like whacks you about the face for a little bit. So my copy of this is That Beauty, a grey. Quite pleasant. So yeah, so that's my top 3. But I thought let's just throw in a bit of a curveball here. So an honorary mention, I think. So my honourable mention or wild card is American Inquisition. Anyone who possibly dismisses this album, just go into this one with an open mind, because it took me by surprise. I was not expecting to like this at all. Possibly my favourite song on the album is Angels and Drugs, because it's just so beautiful. It's not like anything else they've ever done. Worship Along the Nile is the best use of metaphor I've ever heard in a song. That just skips along, and it probably will raise a bit of a smile. So that's it. Those are my top 3 favourite, not best, favourite Christian Death albums, with one wild card stirred in for good luck. What are your top 3 Christian Death albums? Just let me know in the comments. I'll be really interested to hear what you guys think. Until next time, see you later.